Ooh, nice. Nice to be back here, guys. It's been a while. Um, I thought that I want to go live a little bit more often here on this channel. I think it's a great way to just talk a little bit, convey some ideas without having huge editing work. And yeah, you guys know that I am self-employed as tinnitus coach. So I'm literally working completely self-employed as a tinnitus coach. And I do work, of course, with a few freelancers who help and support me here and there with website stuff and some things here and there. But in essence, I am working full-time alone on not only managing the channels and the podcast, the Tinnitus podcast that I have, but also, of course, our online club community about which I'm going to speak a little bit more about later in this stream as well. So you guys will forgive me. Hopefully that my idea for the year 2024 includes more content and less content that is hectically produced with top video formats, etc. But I think the message that I want to convey is more important than the method over how I do it with super fancy camera setups or super fancy audio setups, etc. But I think what is important for me to share is what I have learned of working since 2019 with 500 and plus people with tinnitus. Well, most of you who are tuning into this channel know that I was born deaf in my left ear and have this hearing aid and the severe tinnitus for 15 years already, and that I started coaching people with tinnitus in 2019. And by now, I've worked with close to 500 or even more than 500 people, so it's difficult to keep track a little bit. I'm producing a podcast with 80 plus episodes on tinnitus and how people can go from bothersome to non-bothersome tinnitus. And the basic idea that I have, and this is why I'm calling this, a little bit of an alternative approach to tinnitus, not this main approach that, some hearing aids will not have you listen to your tinnitus and then things are suddenly good again, or you're doing some weird herbal pills that are sold on the internet. And then supposedly your tinnitus gets better. Also very limited scientific research out there that suggests that this might be efficient or useful. And our approach is more that it's not the sound of the tinnitus itself that is your biggest obstacle or your biggest problem, but your response to it, your emotional response to it. Think about it this way, right? It's a little bit like when you get bitten by a dog. Let's say you go outside one day and you get bitten by a dog, and then, of course, the next time you go outside and you see a dog, it'll be difficult for you to, not try to avoid the dog because, dogs bite. And, if I go out again and the dog bites me, I might get bitten again. And with tinnitus is very similar, right? Like I've had Malcolm on this channel talk about his tinnitus story, saying that he didn't care about his tinnitus until he started Googling. So, I'm comparing this like if you never have been bitten by a dog, then you don't really care about dogs. And when you're outside and there are dogs, you don't care about them. But if you have been bitten by a dog, so something in your environment suggests that dogs might be dangerous, then the problem is a different one. And you might, every time you go outside, you might think that there's a dog and it might be dangerous and might bite you. The same thing is true with tinnitus. So Malcolm was here on the channel, and you can watch that video here on the channel on humans with tinnitus. And he shared that, it's not even the tinnitus that was the problem, but it was as soon as he started Googling tinnitus. So he started doing his research on tinnitus, started to say like, okay, well, what can I actually do here? And then he started reading all these like really negative and difficult stories about tinnitus, right? They are out there, truthfully, like rightfully so for many people, because many people suffer. I suffered. Yeah, I've suffered a great deal with tinnitus at the time, 15 years ago and 10 years ago. But it's like it's the same thing with the dog bite, because once you have conditioned yourself that way, that tinnitus is something that you respond to similar to the dog bite, it suddenly turns into something that is a threat for you, right? Conversely, if you start to learn again, maybe your friend has a dog and you pet the dog and you get used to not all dogs bite you, then when you go outside the next time, maybe you're not as afraid of dogs anymore. And this is called operant conditioning. So the same thing holds true for your tinnitus. When you learn that it's not the tinnitus, but the ideas about the tinnitus that you have that lead to your constant obsession and the constant checking in and tuning in and out of your tinnitus, seeing where your tinnitus is it bothering you a lot, is it bothering you less, etc. And that in and of itself keeps this cocktail of emotions and physical sensations alive. Yeah. So I think about it this way, right? There is a physical sound. If I'm quiet, I can hear it. It's quite intense. Yeah. But there is, for me at least, no emotional reaction to that intense sound. Now, for you, it might be different because you are not habituated and your tinnitus is very annoying for you. But it is absolutely true that you have two separate things here. You have tinnitus, the physical appearance of a sound that you hear, and then you have your reaction to it, thoughts and emotions and feelings. And of course, these two influence each other, but on the face of it, the most important point here being that it's not immediately your tinnitus that produces anxiety and emotions or thoughts of fear and anger, etc. And it's also not the dog or the dog bite that immediately provokes that, right? But it's the operant conditioning of your brain wanting to protect you. So the brain simply wants to protect you by saying like, well, if this causes us pain, we should try to avoid it. And that's the same thing that works against you when you go outside and see a dog after being bitten by a dog or never having been bitten by a dog. You know, dogs are safe. It's the same thing with tinnitus. If you start experiencing tinnitus and you get so upset and you can't sleep and you're always anxious and it's super terrible, etc., then how could you not be constantly sort of paying attention and trying to find a solution to it? But when all the usual coping mechanisms to trying to find solutions for us in the year 2024 fail, like going on the internet, researching cures, etc., then what happens? Well, yeah, of course, you become even more anxious because you think like, oh, usually my normal coping strategies, what I do X, Y, Z, doesn't work in this place with tinnitus. Oh shit, what am I going to do? Yeah. And then, you know, this operant conditioning reinforces itself. That in and of itself drives more awareness over your tinnitus. And that heightened awareness is often what people describe like the more anxious they get, the louder their tinnitus. Funny enough, the amygdala, the fear and panic-based center of the brain, it's like this little area inside the brain that is governing also our survival mechanism and survival response, is of course more alert when we are more stressed. And the amygdala and the auditory cortex, so the part of the brain that is tasked with processing audio for us, they're very closely connected. Have you ever noticed that when you are stressed and when you're in a in a dangerous situation, your ears and your eyes become more aware? Well, that's very natural because your brain says, okay, now we need full outside mode and we need full capacity. So therefore, the auditory cortex is heightened as well, meaning the amygdala and the auditory cortex together heighten up, and then your tinnitus perception might even increase with the stress. So this is a constant, never-ending cycle of doom where you get stressed by your tinnitus, then you focus more on your tinnitus, and the focus on your tinnitus creates more anxiety, releases more stress hormones, and so on and so forth. And it's a never-ending story. The cycle technically can repeat itself forever, unless, and I know, and now here is what I'm talking about, alternative strategies to tinnitus habituation and tinnitus training. Some people say masking is the right approach. So buy yourself some hearing aid noisers and simply just don't listen to your tinnitus anymore. Well, my opinion is, well, then, yeah, maybe you get temporary relief because you don't hear your tinnitus anymore for a while. But what happens if the battery dies, or if you then constantly start to compare whether you've heard the tinnitus in this situation already, whether not, etc. And then in the long run, you get dependent on the masking to avoid the thoughts and emotions that come with tinnitus. Because in the end, remember what we said at the start of this live stream. Your biggest issue and difficulty is not the sound of the tinnitus. How could a physiological appearance of sound, like your fridge humming, the TV making a noise, noises outside. Of course, some noises are more dangerous and some less dangerous. Gunshots are dangerous noises, right? But some noises are more dangerous and less dangerous, and our brains simply always classifies them. But when tinnitus is constantly classified as a dangerous noise, then think about how that constantly reinforces your fight or flight cycle, that constantly keeps you stuck in there. And with masking your tinnitus with hearing aid maskers or sound therapy, you technically only avoid those negative thoughts and feelings. And when you can't mask, then they come back at full force. So, sorry for this. My idea is that not with masking your tinnitus, maybe sometimes, right? I say be gentle to yourself, right? If you need masking in order to get a normal night's sleep, then fully go ahead. I have masking videos on my channel. But what I share on these masking videos at the start of the masking videos, before I have 6, 8, 10 hours of rain therapy or something, I share that masking is fully okay if you use it for a time to keep your anxiety and your difficult emotions at bay. But in the long run, to habituate to tinnitus, you need to develop a relationship where you do not fear tinnitus anymore. So you couldn't care less at the perception of your tinnitus, right? Because tinnitus is only an auditory perception of a sound. I get that it can be dangerous. I get that it can be distracting at times. But in the end, what true habituation is not needing maskers, is not needing anything else to rely on not having any kind of physiological reaction to your tinnitus. And if your brain learns that that's fully possible, and I have a very guided step-by-step program, and usually I do this, some of you guys who've listened and watched more of my videos already know this, that I do this in the one-on-one coaching sessions that I do at tinnitus.com, or the online program at MyTinnitusClub with video courses, weekly coaching sessions in a group, and so on and so forth. But the important fact that you need to understand and know here is that building a relationship with tinnitus, where your brain reinforces itself that tinnitus is not an obstacle to living a full and happy life, and that you need to signal to your brain in the same way that when you get bitten by a dog, you need to signal to your brain that dogs are safe in order to be able to pet one again without having an anxiety reaction. In the same way, you need to learn that it's fully okay that tinnitus can be present when you watch a football match, or that it's fully okay that tinnitus can be present when you try to do something with your loved ones. And when you learn that and you start to react differently, then your brain stops associating threat levels with tinnitus. And then it doesn't matter whether you mask it or not. My tinnitus is so loud, I can't mask it. I'm deaf on this ear and I have this massive hearing aid on this ear. I can't really mask my tinnitus outside when I go to a 4-lane street. It's still there. But it's not a problem because I have no emotional reaction to my tinnitus. In fact, I sleep with an earplug at night because I prefer to just hear my tinnitus rather than hear my neighbors upstairs running around in the morning. So it's really all about how we respond to our tinnitus and how we can use this operant conditioning to change that. So in Malcolm's case, for example, to giving him all the information through the one-on-one coaching, also through the MyTinnitusClub membership, to tell him hey, here are the things that you need to do in order to understand what happened with your tinnitus, why you started reacting this way, and now some tools from behavioral strategies such as acceptance and commitment therapy. By the way, fantastic tool. I have a lot of videos on my channel about acceptance and commitment therapy. I have one with my favorite sleep scientist, Dr. Guy Meadows, who is a fantastic acceptance and commitment coach for sleep. He's amazing, and I recommend if you have struggled with sleep, then go and check that video out. He's a fantastic acceptance and commitment practitioner. But there are hundreds of thousands of studies where acceptance and commitment even helps people in refugee camps live better life and be less stressed in even the most dire of circumstances. And I have practiced it with hundreds of people. So it is so effective in reconditioning your reaction to tinnitus that you don't need any of these thousands of dollars worth of hearing aid maskers that are being, I know. I mean, there's very successful other YouTube channels out there that are very successful and making a lot of money with selling very expensive hearing aid maskers. And there might be some truth to it. Some people might habituate with masking over a month. But I've had a lot of people who say, you know what, masking is just not doing the trick for me anymore. And as soon as my maskers are out, my anxiety is even worse. It's the same thing when you have anxiety disorder and you take Xanax every day. Well, is your anxiety gone? No. eventually you have to stop taking Xanax, because otherwise benzodiazepine addiction is not a nice thing to tackle. So eventually you will have to taper off the medication that helps you with your anxiety, but then the anxiety is not gone. You will have to work with your anxiety. And it's the same thing with tinnitus. So in essence, I want to round off this live stream today because my I'm getting dry and tired here already. But I will provide much more live streams in future. I hope that you don't mind that this is a format where everything is not as well cut and beautifully edited, etc. But simply due to my limitations of working completely alone as a coach and a community founder, not having a massive team behind me and a lot of money for editing, etc. Due to that fact, I hope you don't mind if we do this a little bit more often, talking about topics and using these tools and strategies in order to habituate to tinnitus, where, you know, my mission and my inspiration is to help many of you to deal with their tinnitus in a way that it's helpful, that you can go to non-bothersome tinnitus in the long run. And I've done this for many of you guys already, but I just wanted to take maybe one more second to show you we've done inside the club. So this is the online club that we have at MyTinnitus.club, so www.MyTinnitus.club. So we have, for example, today I posted, okay, what do you guys want to see next in the club? Healthy lifestyle, stoicism and tinnitus, activity challenge month, or habituation and neuroplasticity. Last month we did self-compassion, which was a really cool month, where we did a lot of work on how can we be kind to ourselves. Oftentimes when we're going through a difficult time, we are not as kind to ourselves as we could be. So we're a lot more kind to other people than to ourselves. So we did a nice workshop about self-compassion with all the online members, and we did a lot of cool tools, etc. And when you join the club, then of course within the premium membership, you get not only a 6-hour training, it is a retreat that we had last year. It's 2.5 hours for the first day, and then nearly 3 hours for the second day. A retreat recording, you get the workbooks that are in here, you get my my book that I wrote towards tinnitus and habituation, as well as an 8 weeks guide towards tinnitus habituation, a complete course over 8 weeks, a lot of videos and materials and exercises, etc., that will help you to go a very tailored and structured way towards tinnitus habituation. And that's something that you will be able to access in the premium subscription. The lower subscriptions also have course material, not as in-depth, but also here's a beginner's course, for example, that is a beginner introduction into the habituation strategies and how you can go from bothersome to non-bothersome tinnitus, not avoiding the emotions and negative feelings that come with tinnitus. So using acceptance and commitment therapy, etc. So this is a 3-pronged and 3-principle course here. And then we have all these other spaces. You will be able to look at a lot of them. We have weekly questions and answers, share your best practices, coaching sessions coming up every single week. So as you can see here, we have accountability check-in coming up this Thursday, and we have the game night coming up in July again. And we do a lot of fun and cool events. And of course, you'll be onboarded. You get a little bit of an onboarding section where we show you how to join the community, how you get the most out of it, and also what you can do in order to most benefit from this online program. And that's something that I just wanted to show to you guys quickly, because that's available, of course, for all of you that you are out there. And then also the other thing that I wanted to mention is, of course, you can go to outringtinnitus.com if you are interested in getting one-on-one coaching. That would be OUTRING tinnitus, TINNITUS. Ooh, my spelling. It's not my native language, English. Yeah, German is my native language. English is not. You can clearly tell I wouldn't win a spelling competition, but that's all right. I can convey my ideas, and you guys hopefully get what I meant. And so it was a pleasure for me to host this short live stream today. I think we will set more frequent live streams. You will be able to check them out in the community tab. And I've also thought about something. So if you want to support me as a small creator on the Tinnitus channel, there will be little memberships. I will be doing some events for the members here on YouTube. I will be doing a weekly coaching session for the members on YouTube. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can check that out as well, if you want to support me and my work. But other than that, I have 150 plus videos that you can watch towards habituation and how you can use acceptance and commitment therapy to your success. Other than that, yeah, thanks for those who were watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hope that it was useful for many of you. And keep watching the community tab. I will publish the next few live streams that are coming in there very soon. All right, guys. See you all. Goodbye.